Hey, what's up guys? Yako Khalili with Sheepdog Response. I'm here with...
I'm Jenny Merriman.
And we're going to be talking about the top concealed weapons for 2024. Let's get into it. All right, just so we know guys, picking a pistol, these are all about what our opinions are. This is my opinion on these guns. When it comes to whatever you're going to decide, first thing you need to understand is why am I carrying that pistol and what am I going to use it for. But just like anything else, just like picking shoes, I cannot pick your shoes for you. I cannot grab those shoes, put them on my feet, walk around and say, you know what, you should use these shoes. You're gonna have to grab these weapons, find a range that has them for rent, try every single one of them out, put them in your hand, shoot them, understand how it's gonna fit in whatever concealment device you're gonna use, whether it's a holster or some type of fanny pack or something like that. But you're gonna have to do the research yourself, just to make sure that it is exactly what you need. We're just gonna go through each one of these and tell you what we think about each one of them. In the end, you're gonna have to make all the decisions on your own, because that's what adults do these days. Let's get into it. All right, the first one we're gonna go over is the most common. It's the Glock 43X. This pistol is actually the one that my wife carries as her personal carry. Out of all the guns that we've had, that we've tried, she's tried to carry, she's found that the Glock 43X is the one that fits perfectly. She likes the way it shoots. We had the Shield Arms magazine put in. This is that metal one that carries 2 extra rounds in it, or excuse me, it carries 15 rounds total in it, which means we also had to get the magazine release button replaced as well. So whenever you buy a 43X that hasn't been modified, you're gonna have to buy that separately, and that's about another $100 just to get the magazine and the magazine release in there. The reason that's even an issue is because the Glock 43X comes with just a 10-round mag. Some people, if you ask, Colion Noir, he's what we call an ammo-sexual. He likes to have as many rounds as he can to put down range. Obviously, in a self-defense situation, there's always an advantage to having more bullets. I can shoot more people, or I can survive longer off of just one magazine. But that's why the Shield Arms came out with the additional magazine. But when it comes to being able to manipulate the weapon, in a lot of full-size weapons, the user's thumb isn't able to access the magazine releases easy, or sometimes it's just too big to get their hands around. That's why having a compact weapon is a great option. Along with having a compact weapon, especially this 43X, I found that when I shoot this, that the kick or the recoil is a little bit stronger, because in a smaller frame with the shorter spring, the spring has to do more work, has to do the same amount of work as a full-size weapon would. So that's why having a compact gun, and you'll see this across the board, Jenny, is like people are worried about the recoil. Mm-hmm. The 43X isn't too bad, but there is a significant difference between shooting a 43X and like what I carry, which is a Glock 17. The great thing about this weapon and is that it's a Glock, right? And the reason I say that is because Glock across all platforms, whether it's a subcompact or full-size weapon, they're all very similar and they all function very, very well. So whenever you buy a Glock, you're gonna get a Glock 43X, you're gonna get everything that you're gonna get from buying a Glock in general. And there are some Glock meisters, and along with Glock meisters, there's a lot of Glock haters. So even if this is a good gun, you'll see people now buy it just because it's a Glock. All right, coming in at number 2, we're gonna talk about the Springfield Hellcat. Springfield Hellcat is their way of getting a higher end compact concealable weapon. This is one of the guns that Jenny uses or carries on a regular basis, so I'm gonna let her take the lead on this one, give us her opinions.
Well, this one, it was my first gun, and I was told, like you said, there's many misconceptions for women with guns, and I was told since this one was so small, it would be great for my small hands. I found recently that's not necessarily the case. When I hold this one, my hand tends to swallow it a little bit, even being, again, small hands. And something we just talked about was the slide lock or slide release on here. It is very hard for me, and I'm putting force on that, to get it to close. Also, racking it back is harder. And this is something that I've struggled with multiple times with this gun. The recoil is also something that I've found to be noticeable with this specific gun. And again, as we've talked, I've found that it's because it's so small, everything's tighter on it. It's a good gun. for concealability. It's very small, so that part is great. But there are, for me personally, there are some cons being a female because it is harder for me to use. I did get an extended mag with this one because I wanted the extra room for my pinky. I don't have the extended mag with me today, but I do have one that holds 17. And that does help me have at least a little bit more grip for my hand. But like I said, overall it's a good gun. It's just a little bit harder for female usage.
Yeah, absolutely. Here as an instructor, violence advisor, Sheepdog Response, I get that problem a lot where people are saying, well, it's hard for me to operate. And that's because, again, people are marketing the size of the gun as opposed to the actual function of it. And that's why we have a lot of students that show up with Hellcats or P365 where they can't manipulate the slide lock or the slide release very well. And again, you know, it depends on what you're in. You're talking about. A lot of people, they'll say in a self-defense situation, a motor skill like this will be more effective than using the slide lock, slide release. We like to use the functioning of the gun as the way it should be with the slide lock and slide release. It just depends on, you know, again, these are all opinions. I find, again, if you guys look at my hand right here, how it goes over. This would probably slow down a little bit of mag change, but the mag, I do like the mag release. It kind of just kicks it out of there, right? So even if I was to have it tilted a little bit, it's gonna kick that magazine all the way out. And this magazine's, it's got 13, so I could have a 13 plus 1, 13 in the mag, 1 in the hole. So that's good when it comes to having more rounds. One thing that I know about Hellcat is that they came out with or Springfield, they came out with the Hellcat, and they have different models of it. The OSP, they have the RPD, they have the Hellcat Pro, which kind of like everything that you're talking about as far as the recoil, the magazine length, the tightness of the spring. The Hellcat Pro kind of answers all of those questions. This one is MOS, where it has the drills. It's drilled, it's milled so that you could put a sight on there. Obviously, if you do that, you're gonna have to get suppressor height sights. Again, the Hellcat Pro answers all of those questions for you. It comes with all of those things, and you can even get the Hellcat Pro with the threaded barrel. So, baseline Hellcat has its issues, but luckily Springfield's, you know, they love to improve on their design, and have so with the upgraded models of the Hellcat. So, you don't have to settle with the Hellcat baseline. As you shoot, as you get to understand guns better, understand yourself better, is really what we're talking about, you'll make those adjustments. One thing you notice too, that a lot of modern pistols is that the safety's on the trigger, and these are all, you know, because it does have an external safety, which is great for self-defense, is I don't have to remember to actuate that safety or release it before I shoot. I just have to understand my trigger squeeze. So if you guys look at the pull here on the Hellcat before we get to the wall or the mechanical reset, that's what we're working with as far as the release there, guys. So again, these are all things that are adjustable. It's something to put into consideration whenever you're buying a compact weapon. All right, guys, on number 3, we got the Sig Sauer P365 XMacro. This isn't the P65 we were talking about earlier. This is a little bit bigger. As you can see, the mag count for this one is 17 plus 1, so that's going to give you more rounds for those of you that like to have more rounds. This is a great option for that. On this model, you can see that there's an optic and there's an updated trigger there. This is a precision trigger. This allows for a cleaner pull as far as like what my finger's doing here. You can see when it comes to the straight position, and we're firing just like that. Oh, this thing actually sounds really nice. This gun belongs to our one of our media guys, Carlos, which is funny to me because he doesn't know shit about guns. I don't think I've ever seen him at the range except holding a camera. You know what I'm saying? But this one doesn't have the problem of the slide lock, slide release that Jenny had mentioned earlier about the Hellcat. This one actually works pretty well. And it has an optic on top of it, right? So how does an optic come into play when it comes to concealed carry or using in a self-defense situation? Again, you're gonna have to train with these things, right? Whether you're using an iron sights or something like this that has an optic on it, I have to train with it. I have to pull it from concealment. I have to understand that having an optic on it will allow me to transition from target to target faster, but it might impede my draw a little bit depending on my method of retention. Again, the only way that problem is going to get solved is by training with this gun. With the Hellcat magazine, this is actually a great option. It's almost the size of a full-size gun. As you can see, it kind of fits in my hand perfectly. Without having to manipulate the weapon, my thumb has readily access to both the magazine release and to the slide lock side release, which a lot of full-size weapons won't allow you to do. Jenny, I don't know if you've never shot this before, but why don't you give me your opinion on this gun right here?
I mean, it feels good. It feels good in my hand. And I mean, it's very convenient, like you said, oh my gosh, that's like butter. I mean, yeah, that's, I mean, very easy compared to the Hellcat. I just want to see how, yeah. I mean, even releasing it was super easy for, again, someone with short hand, like small stubby hands. That was very easy for me to maneuver, and with them being that close, that's, again, very, very easy for someone with smaller hands.
Do you think that the way that you're currently carrying your concealed, that this would work with your setup, or would you have to change how you carry this gun?
I think so. I mean, again, I carry crossbody, and this one is probably on the borderline. I think I could go a little bit. I believe the one I carry every day is a little bit bigger than this, or very compatible in size. But this is, I mean, this is still very concealable for a female, yeah. Because I don't know that I would ever carry necessarily physically on body, but in a crossbody or a purse, I would 1000% carry that.
That's awesome. I think this one also has an external safety. Is that correct? Yeah. So again, and this was not bad either. Just again, as we're carrying concealed and we understand the condition of our weapon, it would also mean that I have to understand if my safety's on or not. So that's an added step depending on how proficient you guys are at shooting. Unlike the weapons that have the safety on the trigger, this one actually has an external safety. So just keep that in mind whenever you're picking guns to carry concealed. Am I gonna have the have the state of mind in order to make sure that I actuate the safety or put my weapon off the safety in order to squeeze the trigger? Or am I that kind of person that's gonna be reactive and just pull my gun out and start shooting? Again, train, guys, you have to train, right? Don't think that just because I carry a weapon and I put it in my bag that it makes me a marksman, okay? That's not gonna happen. We're not gonna rise to the occasion. We're always gonna fall to our lowest level of training. So if you have a weapon with an external safety, or if it's on the trigger itself, that's just something that you guys are gonna have to train and do, okay? All right, one thing I wanna mention, guys, that with any additional things when it comes to a gun, whether it's the upgraded trigger or a barrel or a spring or even optic, those are all gonna come separate. There probably are some companies out there, some gun shops that can put all of these things together for you. Just make sure that all of those decisions are made consciously and not just looking at a gun and be like, I want that one. Which it's easy to do. I mean, this is a pretty gun. You know what I mean? Why wouldn't I want to come up here with a 17-round magazine and it already has this shiny trigger on it? Why wouldn't I just go ahead and buy that one? These are all things, again, I have to train with. All right, guys, number 4 is the FN 509cc Edge. Okay, as you can see, this has a smaller frame, a smaller grip, but the magazine kind of makes up for that here, right? One thing that I really like about this gun is that the magazines are weighted. So it allows the weapon to drop freely, or allow the magazine to drop freely whenever I release when I hit the magazine release. Which is great when we're talking about getting more bullets into my gun, right? I want to get more bullets into my gun, so I got to do a magazine change. With this thing being weighted, it's easy for me to get that thing in and out. But because if you guys look at, see how my pinkies, again, overlapped on that, I just have to make sure I clear that. Just like the last gun where we talked about, it does give me easy access to both the magazine release and to the slide lock. Already slide lock. Great. And then on this weapon, the slide lock and slide release is ambidextrous. So if I'm a left-handed shooter, which would be really weird, I don't know why people would want to do that, I could also manipulate that, but it does not have the ambidextrous magazine release, so I'd have to find some funky way. I don't know even how they do the, probably be right-handers again. Weird. In this model, you can see that it already comes with almost suppressor height sights right here. It is ready to be mounted with an optic, and it does have the compensator on the front, which helps keep the gun level as we're shooting. You can see that these there's serrations in the front, a little bit of the slide taken out. Again, that's to make the weapon a little bit lighter and allow the slide to operate even easier. It's a great looking gun. FN makes a great weapon. If you guys have been following Tim Kennedy at all, you can see that he has the FN LS Edge, which is made from this company, and it's basically, you know, almost the same kind of design, where it has the capability to rack the weapon without it messing with the rear sights at all. You guys gotta check that out. Jenny, tell me what you think about this weapon here.
Well, this one is my everyday carry, and I ended up talking to the people here at Sheepdog Response about wanting another gun and the issues that I had with the Hellcat, and I was introduced to this one, and this one is my pride and joy. It's the slide release on it is much easier. It racks like butter, and again, it's very convenient to have these so close when having small hands. The compensator helps a lot with the recoil, which when I shot this, I was amazed at the difference between the recoil on this and the recoil on the Hellcat. This is one I can fit inside my crossbody that I bring with me everywhere I go. It's very convenient. It's good size for my hands. And like you said, the reason I liked this one was because it had the extended area for my fingers on, like, past the actual gun itself where the mag sits. Very easy to unload and reload. Again, this one's my bread and butter. This is my baby that I carry every day, and very proud of this one. I love it.
Awesome. Do you find that the compensator gets in the way of drawing the weapon, or with the suppressor height sights? This front one, when I have a holster on the hip, it does get caught on this front one here. On the draw? Okay.
That's the only downside I've had with this one, is that this does get caught on the holster on the way out.
But not in your crossbody carry. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when are we ever gonna be using a holster in a self-defense situation? Again, you know, luckily Jenny works with the greatest people in the world. This guy right here. I'm sure she has great advice when it comes to, she received great advice when it comes to transitioning this weapon. But yeah, the only time that you're ever gonna be carrying this weapon in a holster in a self-defense situation, I can't see that happening unless you're open carrying somewhere where it's illegal to have concealed carry. But you know, like she said, whenever she's using it in her crossbody, which is her EDC, it works money. As you can see, this weapon also has the a straighter trigger, just like the P365 we looked at earlier, and it also has the trigger, or the safety mechanism on the trigger. So this gun is made to be carried concealed, and that it has the compensator in order to keep the weapon flat as we're shooting. And that's important because it allows me to get an acceptable side picture faster. If I can close my OODA loop faster than the person who's trying to shoot me, which includes acceptable side picture, acceptable take an acceptable shot, that's great, right? So that's what's really good about this this compensator, and also with the safety being on the trigger itself, is you kind of doing two things at once. I'm taking the weapon off a safe, and I'm able to engage my targets at the same time. Now this trigger is awesome too. You guys look at this pull here. It should be a surprise every time I squeeze the trigger, and I can say that this is one of the nicest triggers I've felt. There we go. That's awesome. Another good thing about this weapon, weapon system, is that it has a 15+1. There is a shorter one, I think, with like 13 rounds on it. I think that's the one that comes with it. But these, you can buy these probably for like 45 bucks on the FN site, if you can find them in stock, because this is a hot weapon. So, but yeah, 15+1. Another great advantage to having an FN 509 is that you be able to put more rounds down range more accurately with a smoother trigger. I mean, I don't know what else you can ask for. All right, next up, guys, the Shadow System CR920P. The great thing about this gun is it's Texas-based. The company policy here is that if you get into a self-defense situation, you have to utilize your gun, and the authorities have to take possession of it until they find out what happened. Shadow Systems will send you out another gun for you to have until you get your weapon back. Unclear about if you never get your weapon back, but I imagine that they're going to take care of you. This is a great American Texas-based company. As you can see here, the differences already is the slim profile. See how wide this gun is compared to basically most full-size guns. If I get my Glock 17, which is something that I carry on a regular basis, you can see the differences in width here. It's still comparable when it comes to as far as how long the weapon is, but it's a lot less bulky, it's a lot less slimmer than a full-size gun, right? Just the width alone is going to help you conceal this weapon a little bit better. As we pick it up, you can see that it has a very slim, very thin grip. Luckily, it comes with the extended magazine to where I can get my pinky on here, so I can put my whole hand on this gun whenever I'm engaging targets. It does come with the fluted barrel, the compensator again to make sure that I have a good level recoil whenever this weapon is operating back and forth. This compensator, just like most of them, we're going to keep the weapons nice and flat so that I can assume a acceptable side picture faster. This is MOS ready, so it's ready to be mounted by an optic, and it has a railing on it for a light system if that's something that you decide you want to go with. Again, that's again shooter preference. Do I want to have a light on my pistol? Is it going to get in the way of me drawing or stowing this weapon, concealing it properly? Just depending on what that rule number 1 we talked about earlier is. What do I want this gun for? What am I going to use it for? But it's ready to go. You guys can see how this thing works very, very good, easily. I do like how, again, without having to move my fingers or manipulate my hand around this grip at all, I do have access to both the magazine release and to the slide lock. This is a great gun. It's going to cost you about $1,000, maybe a little bit more, depending on where you're buying it from. But it's kind of like not a Glock knockoff, but it's kind of the same. It's kind of made of the same structure. I think you might even be able to swap some of these parts depending on which system that you're using. But it has these serrated edges, so I can lock my weapon to the rear from both the front of the slide and from the rear, depending on what your preference is. Jenny, have you ever shot this gun before?
I'm not.
Well, tell me what you think about this.
Okay, definitely noticeable how slim it is, like you said. Again, still great distance from my finger there. Again, having small hands. Slide was very easy to release, very easy to lock. Just want to see. Oh yeah, when you have that little bit of extra room there, that's great. And very easy, again, to release on both of them. I think, honestly, this one would still be a great option because I feel like it's very similar in size to the FN that I carry. Would be a really good option for concealed carry inside, like I said, crossbody. Yeah, and it's still pretty light too, so it's not overpowering.
With the flashlight on it.
Yeah. And honestly, I would be very interested to see how this one shoots with the compensator on there, just in, like I said, comparison to the FN.
Yeah, let's check out this trigger squeeze a little bit, see what we got, see what we're working with here. A little bit long. It's a little bit long. Again, it's got the safety on the trigger, just like most modern day pistols. But, you know, with time, dry fire, and training, guys, this is just going to be a normal pull. I do want a Shadow System, so Shadow System, if you see this, hit me up at Yako at sheepdogresponse.com, or you can just mail me one here at headquarters, and I'm fine with that. Jenny, you want one?
Yep.
Send two.
Yep.
2 of them. All right, guys, I'm just going to give you an extra treat here. Not only do you get to look at me longer, but we're going to talk about what I carry specifically in my concealed carry. Now, as you can see, this is a Glock 17 Gen 5. It's a full-size weapon. It's got a full-size frame, full-size slide. The way my mentality is this, right? I want to have as many rounds as I can shoot, and I want to have the biggest gun that shows up to a fight. It is a 9mm weapon, but it gives me a great level shoot. And this is also the gun that I shoot on the range all the time. So me and the Glock 17 are very, very familiar with each other. I love the slide lock. I love the side release. It's got the safety on the trigger just like most modern day guns. It's got a great trigger squeeze here. It's easy to rack. Because it's a full-size weapon, there is a little bit of manipulation that has to happen if I'm going to release the magazine. Not too much though. And maybe a little bit when I'm releasing the slide lock. But because I train with this weapon all the time, I'm very familiar with this. When we talk about carrying appendix, really what we're talking about is the length of the slide, because that's the part that's going to bother you whenever you're carrying, you know, at 3 o'clock, is that this thing is going to be sticking down your pants. So having to walk, having to sit, these are all why subcompacts or some concealed weapons are better, because they're not going to give you that same problem. What I really like about it is having that long frame. Really, this grip is really what I'm talking about when I think about having a gun. I want to make sure that my whole hand fits on top of it. But you know, I carry a bigger bag, so for me a full-size weapon is ideal. Again, guys, rule number 1, what do you need it for? How are you going to carry it? That's all going to be based on which gun you pick. Luckily, the way that the reason I have it and the way I'm going to conceal it are perfect for this type of weapon. How
do you conceal yours?
I use a crossbody, but it's a sling bag, so if this gun fits perfectly in there. But it's got the 17 round magazines. Also, you know, Glock or Pull Mag make a 30 round magazine too that'll fit right in there, which is about this long. So if you really want to put some holes in somebody, go ahead and get you a Glock 17 and then buy the 30 round. I don't know how you're going to conceal that. Maybe put it in your back pocket. All right, guys, that's it. That's it for our picks or for 2024 top concealed carry weapons. A lot of those were concealed. We even showed you the stuff that we carry. Again, this is all preference. This is all shooter's choice. These are all things that can only be figured out by trying them out. You have to go to the range. You have to have somebody that knows more than you telling you, you know, hey, maybe try this, maybe try that. There are a lot of experts out there. A lot of them work for Sheepdog Response. So if you come to one of our classes, we're definitely going to help you pick all of those things apart. Weapons retention, weapons fundamentals, how to take effective shots, and, you know, more importantly, how to be safe and maybe avoid the whole situation altogether. But it's always better to be prepared. Better have it and not need it than need and not have it. Again, these are all just our opinions. Hit us up in the comments if you guys disagree with us. I would love to hear what your unless you don't like Glocks, I don't want to hear from you. Don't message me. All right, don't message me. I don't want to hear about it. But yeah, hit us up if you guys think that there are better concealed options out there, whether it's the weapon or ways to retain. We want to hear all that information, and we don't know everything. Actually, Matt Smith knows everything, but everything he doesn't know, I know. So we'll figure it out between the two of us. But again, hit us up at Sheepdog Response. Check out all of our socials, YouTube, Instagram, all of those things. If you have any training questions, you can hit us at training@sheepdogresponse.com. Other than that, check out our website for all our updated and all of our upcoming classes. And we'll see you guys on the range.
You can look at him.
Look at the camera, look at me.
Okay.
Look at this guy.
Well, I felt weird the first time because I was like, I'm looking at the guns and then I'm looking up there and I'm like, I don't know. I feel like Ricky Bobby, like I don't know what to do with my hands.
And give me like, what do you know that?
Makes sense.